Motivation trait number 2. I have 45 minutes for this lecture or 60 minutes? 60 minutes, okay. Criteria. When you buy a house, you just go to buy a house, or you have items in your mind. I want to buy a house with those characteristics, with those criteria. You have criteria. When you buy a car, you have criteria. When you choose a spouse, you have criteria. When you choose a job, you have criteria. So what are criteria? Criteria, it's a term that we use to describe a person's way of making distinctions about what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, and so on. They are personal labels that we give to our values. Values is what is important to us. This is what values means. So we label them. For example, what are the most important things for you in a job that you apply for? If you ask this question to someone, someone will tell you, a challenge. It's a challenging job. I want a challenge. Good payment, working with people, allows me to utilize my skills, allows me to develop new skills. Those are different types of criteria. Criteria are hot buttons. Each one of us knows very well, when it comes to the people he knows, his family, everybody, that they have hot buttons. If you say that thing to them, they will be happy. If you say that thing to them, they will be very furious and unhappy. Hot buttons can be positive or negative. So each person's criteria of a job, a home, a wife, a product are like hot buttons for that person. So probably you need to know what are the hot buttons or the criteria of a certain person so that you can be able to convince them. Probably that's what you need to know with the doctor after 10 to 15 minutes. What are his personal criteria so that you can use them to convince him? So how can you discover the criteria of a person? You ask him, what do you want in a job, a home, a spouse, a biological agent, a medicine? What do you want in it? What is it that you're looking for? What's important to you? What counts? What has to be there? When identifying someone's criteria, it's very important to do two things. If he tells you a certain criterion, a word, you have to clarify, you have to verify exactly what the person means by the word that he has chosen to name a criterion. I want a job that has a challenge. Okay. Challenge to you might mean a different thing from challenge to him. So you have to clarify. How would you clarify? What would you tell him? He told you, I want a job that would give me a challenge. And you want to clarify what he means by challenge. What would you tell him? What would you ask him? In what way? So you want him to give you an example? Okay. A hot button or a criterion is linked to us, inside of us, with emotional feelings, conscious and unconscious. So it will be more friendly if you ask him, give me an example. Because if you tell him define it or clarify it, he will not be able to do it. We are only able to clarify mental processes, but we are not able to clarify emotional processes. So the best thing, the shortest cut is to, can you give me an example of a task or a job that was a challenge to you? Because maybe a challenge to you is being able to work and meet deadlines. Maybe for him, the challenge is to having to maintain good relations with his colleagues, which is sometimes a challenge. So you have to clarify what he means by challenge, because those are the criteria that you are going to use to convince him. Okay? So you clarify what he means by it. The second, you have to identify the hierarchy of the criteria, the priority. He has 4 criteria for the job: challenge, good payment, utilizing his skills, developing new skills. You have to know what is the top criterion for him and so on. Why? Because there might come a time, a moment in the interaction with him where there is a forced one choice to make. So he'd rather go for the one that you know is the hot button for him, the hottest button for him. If you are hiring people or assigning tasks to them, how can you make use of the criteria trait? When you are going to interview prospective employees, some managers use the hierarchy of the criteria. Why? They want to know if their own criteria as managers are the same as the criteria for that person, because they will be working together. If my hottest button is helping people, why would I hire someone whose hottest button is making money? We will not be speaking exactly the same language. Maybe making money is my second on the list or fourth on the list. If it is his number one on the list, the interaction will not be as smooth as we might expect. Another example, you might be a manager and you can ask someone, if you have to choose between two jobs, one job you are a team player and another job you are your own boss, which one would you choose? Because maybe you want someone who is only following instructions, so you want a team player. Maybe you want someone to whom you will delegate a big managerial task. You want someone who is his own boss. So those important questions might be even more valuable than the CV of the applicant. The CV, I don't think it would contribute more than 30% of the success of a prospective employee. But what he is, what kind of extra courses he's been into, what kind of interactions with life and people he's been into, really count more. If you are working in sales and marketing, how would you influence people using the criteria? You know what the unskilled salespeople do? Suppose you're selling a car. You're a salesman and you're selling a car. Lady, this car is everything you want. It has good mileage, it has good handling, it had good service, and the dealer is giving you a regular service, okay? This is his own criteria. He didn't know her criteria. This is what we call a shot in the dark. Maybe he'll hit something. This is very unprofessional. Maybe the lady's only one criterion is because she had a terrible accident with the car before, she wants a car that has a safety issue. But he didn't mention this because he's telling her his own criteria. He didn't ask. He took 5 to 10 minutes. He didn't take 10 to 15 minutes to know what her criteria were. What do skilled salespeople do? They will talk to you, know your criteria, and link their product to your criteria, if applicable, of course. If not applicable, it's not ethical to sell it. Okay. Never underestimate the power of matching someone's criteria. One woman was told about a job opportunity using all her highly held criteria. She was told what her job was, but she was not told what her job was, but was told, you will be really needed. People will appreciate what you do for them. You will be in charge of how you work, and the hours are regular. What she did, she said she would take the job without even finding out what it was, because it met her criteria.